Welcome back to the Culture Nexus, everybody, with your host, Dr. Cody Incredible. I hope that you have been enjoying and learning from the first two parts of the Culture Nexus's interview with Corey Lowe. In this part, we will reach the conclusion, and without further delay, Corey Lowe on the Culture Nexus, aka CNX. So, can you clear up any misconceptions about how any of that works?
Yeah, and just so that people know, because there are, like you said, a lot of misconceptions, and especially here in Georgia, because there's so much misinformation. And it's just, so like, for example, THCA flower, which is flower that is smokable that was being sold on the shelves. It's also called like Delta 8 flower. I think you see a lot of signs everywhere, all over town. You can buy it at gas stations, unfortunately. They just took that off the shelves this past October. They banned it. And so a lot of businesses, like my friend, she owns a store and she's lost 46% of her revenue because they had to take it off the shelves. So if you're buying it, you're not getting quality product because it's not, the Department of Agriculture regulates this. So they're not allowed to have it on the shelf right now, currently. There's an injunction that they filed to get it back on the shelves. But I just want to kind of like as a PSA to let people know that they've taken flour off the shelves. So that's not legal. And sometimes people say, oh, I have my card. Well, your card is a low THC card. That's for low THC oil, not the flour, not the gummies, all these things that people are buying. That the card's not going to help you. It has to be for the tincture, for the low THC oil.
Gotcha. So very glad.
Does that make sense?
I mean, to me it did. Yes.
Yeah. And so the other problem I've ran into, so Jaden, for example, he's of age, he's 22. He has Asperger's, yes, but he also is somewhat independent. So he went to the store and he bought gummies because he wanted to experiment. I understand. I get it. What he did not know, do you remember back in the day, like PCP?
Yes.
Okay. So now they have gummies with basically, it's PCP, but it's a cannabinoid. So they're selling it as cannabis, but it mirrors PCP.
Whoa.
And yes. So my son had a psychotic episode of this, like crying and screaming. And I met with another lady when I was doing this other event. And she said, hey, I've been on this 3-day high. And I said, what did you take? She's like, my husband bought some gummies from the gas station. It's got like this PCP cannabis. I'm like, honey, that is PCP. My son took the same thing. She's like, why is there not a PSA out there?
I mean, I would. Now, Joseph, I get that. And I know everybody can't know everything. We're all ignorant to something. But one thing, like, I just never took any medication that I typically could only get at a gas station. When I was a teenager into my 20s, there was this thing, if you know, you know, called Spanish fly. Raised eyebrow. No, I'm not. No, and I usually typically hate when people say, if you know, you know. It's like, well, dang, never tell the folks that don't. Okay, so basically, imagine Benny's Bargain Basement Viagra, and like even before Viagra was a thing, everyone talked about the adult benefits of ginseng. As a matter of fact, to quote Left Eye in one of TLC's songs, you need some ginseng for your thing so we can do it. Let that tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, it's like, you know, there was actually, and I kid you not, I know marketing, packaging, gotta get your attention. There was this one pill, and I mean one pill, that they would sell next to the cash registers at most gas stations. And it showed a dude's genitals on fire. And it was a little stick figure. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, it is like best sexual ever. No. There is no scenario I can possibly think of where anybody in their right mind would be okay with their genitals just not just catching on fire, but exploding. And the crazy part, it was 2 pictures on the package. First picture was with the genitals on fire. The second picture was them just exploding. Like, I mean, no. So if we don't learn anything else from this conversation, kids, don't take any medication where the little descriptive picture is genitalia exploding. Just and stay away from gas station cash register medications.
You know, it's like wisdom and knowledge is power, and we gain all this with age, and then we tell the young folks, and they're like, eh.
You are a large part of how medicinal cannabis got approved here in Georgia. So what was that journey like? How would you summarize that?
Hell.
Sounds about right.
You know my favorite part of that journey, though?
What's
probably
that?
My favorite story. The sickle cell ladies.
Really?
Yes. Just imagine, if you will, these 4 sweet little ladies from the Sickle Cell Foundation.
Uh-huh.
With their matching purses and hats and shoes.
Uh-huh.
And over on the Senate side of the state capitol, the hearings are not televised.
Okay.
And so if you want to know what's going on, you have to be present. And these ladies were present that day that this bill, it was House Bill 885, the Haley's Hope Act, and the state legislators on the Senate side, specifically Renee Unterman, said, cannabis oil doesn't help people with sickle cell. And she took her little Sharpie and crossed out sickle cell. Well, let me just tell you, those ladies raised Cain. And if you ain't never seen some ladies raise Cain, they said, I don't give a damn. They said, you can, because the Senator Unterman said, I'm going to have Georgia State Patrol escort you all out of here. They said, I don't give a damn. You can take us out of here hollering and kicking and screaming. You can take us out of here, but you are going to put sickle cell back in that bill. And sure enough, Senator Renee Unterman made sure sickle cell was included in the bill so that folks in Georgia who have sickle cell would be covered and have access to cannabis oil.
Yeah, because I admit that I have a very rudimentary and basic understanding of sickle cell. The misshapen red blood cells tend to bunch together. Extremely painful blockages in blood vessels, if I recall correctly. And pain. If I don't understand anything else, for the people I know that have had sickle cell, the chief complaint is when they have a flare-up, when they have pain, it's bad.
Mm-hmm. Debilitating.
Yeah. Yeah, now that is something I can relate to.
Yeah, and for hearing, those little ladies, they stand up for thousands of Georgians who probably don't even know that they have those ladies to thank. And it just basically, to me, represented why folks have to be at the Gold Dome, our state capitol, because these lawmakers will do what they want to do. And if you're not down there watching and standing up and speaking, then they'll continue to do what they want to do.
You put up a fight, really, for what's right.
And what I equate it to is how we were really taught how to protest. And I say we, because we were shown how to protest. I mean, we grew up, I don't know how they teach kids, but in our school, I can say in Stoneview Elementary, we saw Little Boy Blue. We saw movies about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so we saw firsthand how to stand up and protest and how to use our mouths. And I just say all this to say I drove past a protest recently and everybody was on their phone. Their signs were on the ground. I couldn't read it. I said, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would be so disappointed.
Oh, gosh. I don't know if have you ever watched a show called The Boondocks, an animated series?
I've heard of it.
Oh, we gonna talk about that. We'll talk about that off the air. But they actually had an episode of what would have happened if Martin Luther King was still alive, and that episode is a doozy. Spoiler alert: it probably is gonna go the way you think it would, probably. But yeah, I remember when they used to show Little Boy King. for King's Holiday. Our generation, Gen X, grew up in school seeing the footage of the march on Selma, Alabama. We saw the march on Washington. We saw the people who got the hoses, who got the dogs, who got the polices. We saw that. And the way they're trying to basically dumb down education, it's like they're the easy. I've always heard that if you can keep a population ignorant, you can keep them under control. And they don't really teach that stuff anymore. You talk to somebody who's like maybe, I'll even go as far as to say in their 30s. Because once we left high school, it just has steadily declined since. And there are so many events that you could name. Like you said, they're even if you want to talk contemporary, The Butler. I think that was Lee Daniels' movie, The Butler, that starred Forrest Whitaker. If you watch that movie, they show you that all that black and white footage that we saw of the protesters that sat in at the segregated diner counters when people came in. And something else that I want to point out too, I know a lot of, and this is just me being fair and even-handed, there have been a lot of black people that I know, and some personally, where they just take such issue with white people. I'm like, we had more allies in the road for equality, just blacks. There were white people that helped hide freed slaves. There were white people that were sitting at the counters protesting with us. That's where the entire term nigger lover came from white people who stood side by side with us and took those hoses too. Go back and look at the footage. It's not just us out there. The same way that we had Black Panthers, there was also Brown Panthers for the Latino community. So, without going into an entire historic deep dive, the ultimate point is that to tie all this together about changing legislation, there is a way to do it and to get it done. As Senator John Lewis used to say, good trouble.
Yes.
Good trouble. So,
yeah, I try to advocate everywhere I go, even with clothing. There's a guy, his name's Mecca King. He runs Cash Color Cannabis, and he put out a hoodie line that has, you and I were talking about earlier, Nixon.
Yeah.
And it says on this particular hoodie, it says drug lord, and it's Richard Nixon. And I happened to have this hoodie on, and this girl, who's the cashier, was checking me out, and she goes, "Hey, I heard about that conspiracy theory."
Sweetie, that ain't no theory. And the only person that was worse than Nixon was Reagan.
Yeah. Maybe it's the one with Reagan. He's got one with Nixon, he's got one with Reagan, and I got a couple different ones. And she just said, "I saw that conspiracy on TikTok once."
Oh, well, I mean, it's a start, and it's more than school is teaching them. So, hey, I'll take a semi-win where I can get it. I mean, as far
so
as
it just made me think back when you were talking about what we were taught in school, that we were taught, I feel like, truth. We were taught truth.
I mean, if you want to really just put it out there about how bad schools are, why does Columbus still have a holiday? You telling people in textbooks that this man discovered America when it is literally common knowledge that he did not. And how many times in history books have you learned that a place got named after the person that discovered him? Because Columbus and America don't sound nothing alike to me. And even if you know that Amerigo Vespucci is who America was named after, there is so much proof that the Norse were here before any of them that just, when you start connecting the dots, oh my, somebody's lying.
Knowing the United States of America has a patent on marijuana. They have a patent on marijuana, but at the same time, it's a Schedule I substance. And that's really what brought it up, was actually Red Ribbon Week at Stoneview Elementary. My brother's like, "Hey, Corey, can I talk to you a minute?" And I'm like, "What do you want? Like, get out of my room, dude. Leave me alone." And he's like, "Well, I just want to talk to you and let you know." He's like, "Tomorrow you're going to go to school and there's this Red Ribbon Week, but he's like, they're not going to be honest with you about marijuana." And I'm like, "Okay, pothead, get out of my room." He's like, "No, I'm just telling you." He said, Indians use marijuana for medicine." And I'm like, "Okay, stupid, get out of my room."
Didn't know that man was planting seeds.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that conversation because that was maybe the one time in his life he was right.
Well, I mean, hey, if you got to pick one to be right about, be right about something big. I'm not mad at it. Yeah.
But that's where you figure it out. Like this whole time, being in law enforcement and then taught, drugs are bad, boy. And then hearing in the back of your mind, your brother saying cannabis is medicine or marijuana is medicine. And then, the Ronald Reagan and just say no and knowing everything. And it's like, you start to question. It's like, wait a minute. I've been fed lies.
So let me take that and then tie that back into the whole thing about vaccinations. Because again, whatever your choice is, that's your choice, fine, whatever. But at the same time, let's say when COVID came around and so many Black folks was skeptic of the vaccination, you gotta understand, if anybody who just look at the Tuskegee experiment, and that's the reason why so many people don't trust the government, among so many other things. All you have to do is just go on YouTube and Google government conspiracies that turned out to be true. And oh God, put your helmet on and tie the chin strap nice and tight because you're about to have your mind blown. Because, yeah, I'll put it like this. America puts out all this propaganda that we are the best and the greatest country in the world. And I will say this. I don't know about the best. It's not the worst. I definitely would rather be here than some other places. Yes, we do have a certain amount of freedom. And yes, there are a plethora of men and women who answered the call, who made sacrifices for us. I will not question or doubt that. But what I am saying is, as any humans are, they are human. Leaders are not always right. They're not always perfect. And you can't even go as far as to say, well, just because something is legal, this is illegal. Illegal doesn't mean something is wrong. Remember, slavery was legal at one point.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point. I've met so many veterans, and that's the thing that really bothers me, is that these folks who left their family, left their home, went over to another country, fought for our freedom, and then they come back and they need or they want to try cannabis, and they can't because of a law. And it's like, wait a minute. You people who made the freaking laws, y'all didn't leave your family. You didn't leave your country. You didn't go over there, but y'all are making laws for the people who did leave their family and did go over there, saying they can't access this medicine. You guys wouldn't even be able to vote and make these laws if they didn't go over there and fight for us. So how does that make any sense?
Yeah, because if those folks didn't go out and do what they did overseas, our native tongue might be Arabic, Mandarin, or we might still be talking like Brits. So, I mean, it's crazy that in the draft you're voluntold to go over here, do this thing, fight for a cause, come back home. And instead of being regarded as heroes, you're just kind of like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, and if they get caught, or if veterans go to the VA for assistance and they have marijuana in their system, then they're denied benefits.
Yep, despite everything that I did for you, did for this country, shot, injured, hurt, seriously injured, lasting conditions, PTSD, the mental implications, and yet still, oh, you got a little marijuana in your system, huh? Little cigawana. All right, denied. Wait, what? I mean, overkill.
Yep.
But to wrap this up, I will say this. Thank you so very much for coming on and sharing your family's and Victoria's experience, giving us insight into how things work as far as marijuana and the legality of it, what is and isn't legal. Would you like to, do you have any social media, any website, or anything that you would like to plug?
Yes, and thank you again. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you greatly. Glad it finally worked out. We were able to coordinate and connect.
Amen to that.
So yeah, I just took over as executive director of Peachtree Normal. So for anyone who wants to get plugged in and become an advocate or figure out how to use their voice, even if it's not cannabis related, I'm happy to help anyone find their inner voice and help them grab a hold of a megaphone and help them walk this walk together, because I've gained a lot of firsthand knowledge and it needs to be shared with others who can benefit from this experience. So definitely reach out to Peachtree Normal on Facebook or Victoria's page, Pause for a Princess on Facebook, and just connect. And I can get you connected with, if you need help on the, special needs adult side or special needs children side, or if you need plugged in to how to become an advocate, I can help either way.
All right, and drop those ways to get in touch with you one more time.
Peachtree Normal on Facebook or Pause for a Princess also on Facebook.
All right. Thank you so very much for this, Corey. Love you, my friend. And I will see all of you in the next episode. Take care.
Good night.